In a small town near a forest forgotten by everyone, one day people began to disappear. Locals called this forest Pikachu's lair, but this Pikachu was far from the cute creature that everyone knew from children's cartoons. This Pikachu lived on the dark side. With an evil smile, red eyes that glowed in the dark, he became a terrible nightmare for those who dared to step into his territory. One evening, 3 friends decided to test the truth that the locals had been discussing for years. They took flashlights and cameras with them and set off into the night forest. A light fog was rising around, and the wind, piercing the trees, made an eerie whistle. It seemed to them that something was chasing them at every step, but they could only see the outlines of trees. And then, a soft, almost innocent voice came from the depths of the forest, Pika Pikachu. But this sound, deep and ominous, rolled through the trees, like a predatory whisper creeping closer and closer. The trio of friends tried to return, but the way back was delayed by fog. The forest came to life, its shadows grew, turned like creatures from sinister nightmares, and among them the red gaze of the same Pikachu emerged. It no longer looked like a cute Pokémon. It was something dark, full of anger and curse. The heroes stood in the middle of a cold, wet fog, and each step they took made the dry branches and leaves crunch under their feet. Gradually, they realized that the forest was not just silent, it seemed to be frozen in an unhealthy silence. Even the sounds they made seemed muffled, as if something was absorbing the noise. The sky was hidden by a thick fog, and the light of the lanterns barely made its way through the gloom. Suddenly, the same whisper came from the darkness again, Pika Pikachu. But this time it sounded closer, colder, full of eerie delight. The mist around them seemed to tighten even more, as if it was a living being trying to hold them in its arms. One of the friends, Andre, dared to take a step forward, but felt something ominous grab his ankle. He fell, his scream echoing through the forest, mingling with the soft laughter that echoed faintly through the trees. The other 2 quickly ran up to him, but when they looked up, they were met with a terrifying scene, a figure looming in the darkness before them. It was the same Pikachu, but his appearance was distorted. Instead of fluffy fur, there was something sticky that oozed a dark liquid. His eyes burned like 2 crimson fires, and his mouth stretched in a creepy smile, revealing sharp, crooked teeth. With a cry, Andre broke free from the grip and ran back, but the forest, as if alive, began to embrace them from all sides. Something dark stirred under the roots of the trees, and they realized that it was not just a forest, it was a trap that drew them into its darkness. With every step they took, they felt the cold seeping into their bodies, and behind them came an ominous laugh. Pikachu was approaching, his evil eyes glinting from between the trees as if waiting for the moment to deliver the final blow. Andre, feeling his heart beating in panic, rushed to the nearest tree, hiding behind its huge trunk. At the same time, his friends, Olena and Serhi, began to exchange frightened looks, trying to decide what to do next. "We can't stay here, he will find us," Elena said out loud, trying to control the tremors in her voice. "But if we run, he might catch up with us. We don't know where we're going," Serhi protested, but his words did not sound as confident as he wanted. Meanwhile, Pikachu, enjoying their fear, began to circle around, his ominous whispers coming closer and closer. The trees made loud noises as if trying to warn of danger, but that didn't stop him. Andre, squeezed into a corner, saw how the darkness slowly surrounded his friends. The sky suddenly darkened, and it began to rain, not ordinary rain, but thick, ominous, which seemed to be filled with something terrible. The lights flickered, and from the depths of the forest, the same whisper was heard again, Pika Pikachu. Gathering all his will, Andre suddenly decided, "We can't just sit and wait. If we don't face him now, there may not be a second chance." "What if he kills us?" asked Olena, pale with horror. "Maybe, but if we escape, we will surely die. We must be united or we will not survive," Andre answered, already subconsciously realizing that a terrible test awaits them. As Pikachu stepped out of the shadows, his grin grew even wider. Hate burned in his eyes. He held out his hands as if inviting them to a dangerous game. The friends, having gathered their strength, came out from behind the tree and stood at the front. "We are not afraid of you," Serhi shouted, although his voice betrayed fear. Andre, feeling a rush of adrenaline, raised the lantern and, pointing it at the creature, shouted loudly, "Come to us, if you dare." Pikachu smiled dreamily and suddenly the forest shuddered. Determination appeared on the faces of the friends. They knew they had to fight, even if it was their lives. Pikachu's gaze became fatal, and dark shadows of other creatures appeared around them, dreaming of their fear. At the same moment, the forest responded with a loud crack, and the shadows again merged into one mass, which was rapidly approaching. Each of the friends knew, now or never.